What's up guys? On today's video I'm going to be changing a control arm on my Ford Mustang, and this car came with some lug nuts that have like an aluminum cap to them, and they always get stuck in my sockets, and I've always struggled with them and I friggin' hate them so bad. And the thing is that this cap underneath reveals the actual size of the nut. So I don't know why they did this. I don't know if like appearance purposes, but this thing is a pain in the ass. But yeah, we're going to start off by removing the wheel. And this one here, the cap was already rubbed off by the every time I rotate my tires. So I had to hammer my socket in there. And then off she goes, man. Bam. Then the controller I'm going to be removing is this one here. It has where the ball joint goes connected to the knuckle and from the subframe to my actual control arm. And you can see how it's torn and there's no grease in there, and every time I stop or even come to a complete stop, that thing is going clank, clank, clank. But anyways, I picked up my 1/2 inch impact gun and my 21 socket, and I removed my ball joint from my knuckle. Then I picked up my breaker bar, and I believe it's a 23mm socket in the back where the subframe and the control arm interlock with each other. And I just broke the bolt. I needed leverage since it was so tight.
Yeah.
Then you can either get an air ratchet or whatever and just continue to remove the bolt completely. I went ahead and just picked up my 1/2 inch ratchet and removed the bolt. And in the near future, I believe my air compressor went out, and luckily it's been cold here, but that's going to be my next thing to replace on my car. Then I picked up my 16-ouncer ball peen hammer and began striking the head of the ball joint and the knuckle itself, but it was not releasing my ball joint from the knuckle. So I went ahead and went with my air hammer after this. I gave it a few more blows, but I decided to just go ahead and stop because I don't want to rub off the head on the nut. Because if you do that, then you're in some trouble. And then here you can hear how it's rattling, even though it hasn't even been removed. But anyways, like I said, I went ahead and grabbed my air hammer and got my hammer head attachment, and I began hammering the ball joint and the knuckle, around the knuckle.
Oh.
A ball joint separator would have came in handy, but usually it comes out with a few blows to the ball joint or the knuckle. I think it was just that my hammer wasn't big enough. But it finally came off and we were good to go. But here's a comparison side by side of how it needs to look versus how it actually looks. And you can see how stiff the ball joint is on the new one. And on this one here, it's so loose and the boot is torn and it's just in bad shape. I began by rotating my rotor towards the right so I can go ahead and slide my new control arm into where it needs to be. And whenever I shift it back in, you can see how it just slides into place. You see how the ball joint just fell in there? I think the hardest part was probably getting this 23mm bolt into the other side to get it threaded on. And whenever you're threading on or installing your bolts, putting everything back in, make sure you always do it by hand. You never want to just go in and jam your power tool or your air tool because you will strip the bolt. So I went ahead and, like I said, went by hand and began reinstalling everything back to where it needed to be. So I went the most that I could with the ratchet and tightened it to the fullest. And then I pulled out the breaker bar and gave it a few more turns. Once that was done, I picked up my 1/2 inch and I installed my 21mm from the ball joint. And that's pretty much it, guys. That was the end of this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys around for more.
Gente crítica a diario, circular mi sol. Digan lo que digan, piensen en lo peor y no incomoda.